What you are going to hear is not a drill. Ladies and gentlemen in court, Remy Ma did not simply lose her temper, she fell. And it was none other than 50 Cent who, with just 2 words, sent her tumbling to the ground. Yes, you heard correctly. The rapper himself was called as a witness, not for a show or a quarrel, but for Remy Ma's own son's murder trial, and it wasn't simply testimony that he released. Her whole defense strategy was destroyed. 50 was in that courtroom. But why? What had he seen? And how on earth did his remarks send Remy's legal team into complete disarray? In a matter of seconds, do you believe you've witnessed any law and order drama, please? With a splash of treachery, falsehoods, and a secret no one was supposed to. No, this was reality TV meets criminal court. Remy believed she understood the system. However, the courtroom became a battlefield the moment 50 Cent spoke, and just one narrative made it out alive. Hold on tight, because what he said could spell the end for Remy Ma. Ladies and gentlemen, you were afraid you might appear untidy. No. The term scandal has been formally redefined by what transpired in that New York courtroom. Remy Ma, the rap queen who turned into a courtroom disaster, is at the center of this collapsing circus. With 50 Cent unexpectedly taking on the role of executioner, the streets were already buzzing about a case that set everything in motion: the unsolved, terrible death of Remy's 14-year-old son. A case shrouded in enigma, anger, and quiet strain. However, nobody anticipated this. Nobody anticipated that the trial would turn into something so combustible that it would render the judge, fans, and critics utterly stunned. That morning, Remy entered the courtroom as if she were the owner of the room. The same Bronx don't play attitude we've seen 100 times before: black sunglasses and a frosty gaze. She didn't anticipate, however, that 50 Cent would be the prosecution's covert weapon and the unexpected wild-card witness. Yes, actor, businessman, beef enthusiast, and now star witness in a murder trial that might determine whether Remy Ma is sentenced to life in prison is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. But how about we go back in time? The trial was contentious from the beginning. Rumors of gang affiliations, rap industry reprisals, and a poorly executed cover-up began to circulate when Remy's son was discovered shot behind a Staten Island warehouse. The first tale: sporadic street violence. However, the actual insiders told me there was much more going on. Something unsettling was coded in texts that were leaked between Remy and a notorious gang middleman. Language he knew too much, as evidenced by the cryptic statements like "handle it before it spreads." Remy's team called it out of context. Of course, the prosecution, however, was not at all convinced by that. This is a point at which things become heated. Midway through the trial, the DA's office unleashed a bombshell, reminiscent of a legal drama on Netflix. Someone with direct knowledge of the circumstances leading up to the murder had been subpoenaed. Weeks before the murder, a witness said Remy confided in him at a private gathering in Tribeca. And 50 Cent, the man who received the subpoena, everyone laughed at first. A rapper who testified. Hurry up, however. When 50 appeared wearing a charcoal gray suit and grinned as though he knew he was going to blow up the internet. That from skepticism to sheer suspense, the courtroom changed. You could hear a pin drop when 50 took the stand. The bailiff didn't even breathe. Remy's attorneys appeared shaken. Sitting just a row behind her, her husband, Papoose, appeared to have recently seen a ghost. And Remy didn't even blink once. One straightforward inquiry was posed by the prosecution. Did Remy Ma ever talk to you, Mr. Jackson, about her worries that her son might be aware of her private business matters? After pausing, 50 leaned into the microphone and uttered the 2 words that were alleged to have caused Remy's soul to depart the building. She did, yes, only those 2 words, just a straightforward affirmation. Without any fluff or over-explanation. It struck like a grenade, too. Remy's attorney protested right away, yelling about hearsay and relevancy. It shook the courtroom. They fumbled for their phones. Reporters, Twitter took off, even though her hands were shaking. One witness claimed that Remy murmured, "He's lying, you see." If what 50 is saying is true, that Remy confided in him because her son was a liability, then this isn't just a case of emotional parenting. It's premeditation, motive, and intent. This is made worse by the fact that Remy and 50 aren't just rap acquaintances. They have a history, a real tangled, revenge-fueled history. Some say 50 is just there to stir things up, while others say he's telling the truth and doesn't care about the fallout, according to Bill Vibe, who is connected to gossip. Remy allegedly wrote in a private text message, "I gave him everything. It's over for us all if he speaks. Every one of us. Remy, who are we?" The entire internet began to ask that question. Theorists of conspiracy went into overdrive. Did Papoose play a part? Was this related to previous conflicts within the industry? Was there a larger person Remy was defending? In the meantime, The courthouse became a set for a reality program. There was a new twist every day. It was an anonymous tip one day. The next was security footage of Remy's SUV parked close to the warehouse at 3 in the morning. The murderous night. Her legal team neglected to mention this in her original alibi. And you know who supplied that video? An anonymous source, purportedly bought off by a competing musician who wished to see Remy permanently removed. According to the streets, it was a whistleblower who was a low-key assistant connected to the 50s camp. However, such specifics are still unclear and hazardous. Not to be overlooked is the public's response. Social media collapsed on the day that 50 testified. Within minutes, she trended worldwide. According to hashtags like #RemyOwn and number 50, rap blogs had a great time. Jasmine Dior, the victim's girlfriend's mother and a furious wild card in this already chaotic circus, appeared just when everyone thought things couldn't get much messier. Wendy Williams even stepped out of hiding to tweet, "Remy, girl, you're in trouble." Remy's admirers, on the other hand, were split when she appeared outside the courthouse with a sign that read, 50 told the truth. The Bronx knows. Some chanted, "Free Remy" outside the courtroom. Even celebrities weighed in, pleading with her to be honest, saying, "We wrote for you. Don't let us down," with 50 on the stand. "You know it's personal," Cardi B said. "Lie, this whole thing feels shady." Remy's longtime pal Fat Joe, on the other hand, shared a mysterious prayer emoji with no caption. What does this signify for Remy's case, then? Despite being brief, 50's testimony could prove disastrous, according to legal experts. If the DA links his statement to those threatening texts and the video, his reputation as a public figure, and his past relationship with Remy give it significant weight with the jury. We haven't even reached the most significant twist yet, people. Because Remy Ma did something unexpected just as the court adjourned for the day, and everyone assumed the worst was over. She got up, turned to face Papoose, and said something really eerie in a whisper. According to a courtroom reporter, it seemed like the last line from a mob film. What did she say? Though, let us now resume where we left off, red-eyed and shaken. From the 50-cent courtroom ambush, Remy Ma turned slowly to Papoose and whispered something icy and spine-tingling. According to reports, even the stenographer stopped typing. What was it she said? She said, "You said he'd never talk." Boom. According to a courtroom insider, a legal aide was sitting 3 feet away. She affirmed in a single statement what the prosecution had only hinted at, that she and Papoose had a deeper, covert understanding, and that 50's testimony was not only startling but also betraying her. Let's now discuss strategy. They were scurrying around like pigeons in a thunderstorm because of Remy's defense team. Her attorneys nearly begged the judge to have 50's statement removed from the record as soon as he left the stand by asking for an emergency sidebar. However, the judge did not. Intrigued, indeed. That was evident from his honor. This court will not reject Mr. Jackson's testimony on procedural grounds if it is supported by more evidence. Translation: Remy, you're done. In the meantime, chaos was roiling outside the courthouse now. Protesters were fighting, some yelling for justice, others standing by Remy. The rear of her Escalade was spray-painted with the words "Guilty Ma." Even worse, Papoose didn't accompany her home that evening. Yes, left in a different vehicle. Just silence, no hand-holding, no eye contact. Since anonymous sources, you know, the ones who usually send direct messages when things go shady, came forth with something that ignited the internet. Let's get down to business. A covert recording purportedly made inside Remy and Papoose residence by a cleaner a few days after the killing of their kid. You can hear muted voices arguing in the video. The lady, who is purportedly Remy, replies, "I told him to stay out of it. He did this to himself." The male voice says, "You said you'd handle it clean. Now we have 50 running his mouth on a damn stand. It's chilling right now." Remy's public relations team evidently hurried to assert that the tape was a phony audio engineering job in an effort to sway public opinion. However, the court did not reject it. Rather, they requested a thorough forensic investigation. This is where things become dangerously messy. Even more incriminating information was released by the prosecution while the jury was away for the weekend. The financial records of Remy, only weeks before her son was murdered. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were transferred between offshore accounts and shell corporations. A few designated as a security retainer, others called them silencing costs. Take a moment to process that. Where did these businesses have their headquarters? The Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, and even one connected to a management company that was shut down and was controlled by 50 Cent's rival. Talk about the drama of full circle. TV legal commentators went crazy. It was dubbed the most careless paper trail in the history of celebrity crimes. The most insane moment was when Charlemagne, the god, went live and stated that Remy didn't simply fumble the bag. Another person commented, "It's like she wanted to get caught. She set it on fire, danced on the ashes, and then gave the proof in a Tiffany box to TMZ." Not to be overlooked is a wild card, Dior's Jasmine. Yes, she has returned. With a vengeance this time. Wearing a blood-red trench coat, she showed up at court with it looked like a diary, asserted that Remy's son owned it, a phrase that said, "If anything happens to me, don't trust her." Let that reverberate for a moment. Pages full of cautions and worry. Naturally, Remy's team now maintains that it is a fake, a wicked plot to undermine the case. Here's the worst part, though. In spite of this, the prosecution filed its sins. As his school and therapist have confirmed, the handwriting matches earlier notes her son had written. Let's do the math, then. 50 cents testimony, financial traces to hidden accounts, audio proof from her residence, and now the victim's own journal confession. It's beginning to appear as though Remy Ma's not guilty plea is a pipe dream wrapped in duct tape, and Papoose abruptly disappears from court. So we're not finished yet. No explanation, no show. His crew is inundated by reporters seeking explanations. There was complete radio silence, no remarks, no posts on social media. A sealed letter from Papoose is then unexpectedly revealed to the media. An anonymous delivery of handwritten, unsteady ink to a journalist in the Bronx. The internet went into a complete meltdown when he wrote, "I tried to protect my family. I never thought it would come to this. If she goes down, we both do." So, now the world wants to know, is Papoose flipping? Is he going to take the stand? Will he become the next bombshell witness? Fans recreated trial situations using voiceovers, fake tears, and trap beats in one TikTok that went viral. In the meantime, Remy's older song saw a 300% increase in Spotify streams. It seems that nothing sells more effectively than a breakdown. Civil rights organizations started to question why celebrity cases receive so much media attention, but regular victims are neglected. But with all the attention came the reaction. Others charged that the DA was pursuing influence and exploiting 50 cents for publicity rather than justice. The evidence continued to mount, however. The hammer fell after that. Remy Ma's connection to an underground network of elite criminals known as fixers, who assist in cleaning up the mess left by the wealthy and well-known, was one of the prosecution's closing tactics. The man allegedly deleted the warehouse footage and threw away her son's phone. The same individual who handled cleaning for a 2019 assault case involving another well-known rapper. Yes, it's no longer just about Remy. Courts are prepared to rip through the entire labyrinth of payoffs, secrets, and silence. Even Judge Martinez was clearly upset by this point. A hop mic recorded what he said during recess. "She's leaving for good if even half of this is accurate." But you know what? Another witness comes forth just as everyone believes the trial has reached its climax. And it's the same person Remy used to trust with her life. Who is it? What were they saying? And why did the bailiff's cries for order cause the courtroom to explode into chaos? I take it you recall where we left off. Another mystery witness enters the courtroom just when you thought this trial couldn't get much more bizarre. Not just anybody anyway, no, this was Tasha Denaro, a longtime family friend, former assistant, and the person Remy once referred to as ride or die. Guess what, though? The loyalty seems to have ended along with the journey. Courtroom security personnel stepped put aside. Tasha entered with a single sheet of paper in her hand, all in black and with no makeup. She didn't sit, she didn't falter. She read, "I was so afraid that I said nothing." However, that boy's fate was not coincidental. It wasn't arbitrary. It was prearranged. Take a breath. The court reporter even let her pen slip. According to Tasha, Papoose allegedly attended a private meeting that Remy arranged 2 weeks prior to the murder. The line that rocked the room came after she talked about her son searching through her drawers, looking through paperwork, and asking questions that could destroy careers. Papoose didn't stop her from saying, "I might lose everything if he keeps talking." Remy Ma finally broke down in tears in court after hearing just one sentence. No cameras permitted, shoulders trembling, real tears, yet someone within audio leaks. And it now has to in that 15-second clip. 3 million views on TikTok using the hashtag #RemyBreaks hashtag. Meanwhile, there was complete chaos outside the courtroom. Supporters became demonstrators, vloggers were protesters on Instagram stories. Conspiracy theorists began using threads to build actual crime boards. The next thing you know, Beyonce will testify. One guy even went viral with the yell, "First 50 cent, now Tasha." To be honest, it's not impossible right now. Let's now discuss the repercussions. According to legal experts, Remy Ma's case is now on the verge of collapse. Following Tasha's testimony, her team attempted to declare a mistrial on the grounds of unsubstantiated rumors and character assassination. Judge Martinez, however, would not have it. Rather, he chastised her lawyer, saying, Ms. Denaro's testimony isn't rumor if it fits the financial records and date. Conviction is warranted. Translation: bring a toothbrush. Then there was another. Story twist: can you guess who returns to court at last? Papoose, wearing a brand new suit without any marital rings or jewelry, sat down in the witness box and stared straight ahead without ever turning to face Remy. The court remained silent. The magistrate gave a nod. Did you go to the aforementioned private meeting, Mr. Mackey? A long silence. Papoose nodded after blinking twice. Quiet. Was Remy worried about her son's actions? One more nod. Did she say that his behavior would jeopardize her career? Papoose muttered, yes. Remy Ma appeared to have been struck by a truck. Set aside your tears. This was blatant betrayal and horror. She used to worry about keeping him down. But now she watches him throw her under the legal bus without even blinking, and in typical courtroom drama flair. Papoose gave the iciest response in Bronx history when asked why he was testifying at this time. I'm not going to jail for her, even though I loved her since then. The internet has transformed that statement into a diss track sample, a meme, a t-shirt, and an entire atmosphere. And now for the twist of all twists, people, the prosecution, rested their case following Papoose's testimony. There will be no more unexpected witnesses or evidence drops, just a cool, certain departure. The defense. They rushed, attempted to bring character witnesses, brought in a friend from Remy's youth who claimed to adore her kid, and even attempted to portray her as a victim of pressure and celebrity. But the damage was done. Let's face it, the jury was now presented with a 50-cent bombshell. She did testify. A hidden recording that was incriminating, cryptic communications and surveillance that were leaked, a warning from a deceased boy's diary, and testimonies from her own husband and a trusted helper. It was no longer merely a case. The verdict and legacy were crushed. Let's talk about that first. However, fallout, the public became utterly divided. Some supporters of the Free Remy movement claimed that she was being set up by the industry, framed and targeted by individuals like 50 who didn't enjoy seeing a strong woman succeed. Others, however, felt deceived and betrayed because they could no longer distinguish the blood from the bars. Some even demanded that her song be removed from streaming services. In the meantime, her beauty brand, Remy Luxe, has stopped all shipments. While it awaits legal scrutiny, and record labels are quietly severing relations. After booking her for a tribute show in the past, BT deleted all of her promotional materials and made an ambiguous comment about reevaluating pledges founded on brand values and public safety. The prosecutors aren't stopping with her, and even Joe Budden, who doesn't usually take sides, went live and said, "Man, if this is true, that ain't the Remy I knew. That's something else. That's evil." There are now rumors that Papoose would be given immunity in return for his complete assistance in a larger investigation that purportedly involves witness intimidation, money laundering, and potentially more related fatalities. Yes, exactly. Remy's situation might only be the beginning of something much more sinister. This leads us to the last scene in the courtroom. The jury returned with its verdict following two exhausting weeks of testimony, evidence leaks, and public outcry. Remy Ma stood expressionless, pallid, and mute. The charges were read by the clerk in the courtroom. We locate the defendant on the accusation of conspiracy to commit murder. Cut to black. Since it's the most, we're going to leave you all on a cliffhanger for the time being. We now turn it over to you, the populace. Did justice get done? Did 50 Cent make the correct decision? Or was this just another over-the-top Queens versus Bronx hip-hop chess move? Is Remy's mother looking for seclusion? Or is she a genius concealed behind poetry and the glitz of fame? And the hero or traitor of Papoose? To be honest, this story is more complicated than the friendship arc between Drake and Kanye. We also want to know your current position. Please share your opinions in the comments section below. All of them are being read by us. Don't stop there, either, as you are already aware. This isn't the end, so please like, share, and subscribe. We're delving deeply into the future. Closed indictments, private detectives employed by Remy's label, and emails that were released linked this case to even more industry heavyweights. Oh, you believe that Remy was the end? Rethink your thoughts. Rumor has it that someone even more important was subpoenaed in secret, a well-known name that will make the entire case seem like a warm-up act. Let's just say that the industry will never be the same after the next video, so make sure your notifications are turned on. In the meantime, remain alert, prepare your screenshots, and never forget that 2 words can put an end to everything in the realms of murder, loyalty, and celebrity. #remain disorganized.